What's up, everybody? It's Zach back here with another episode of Clutch Crew Sports. Today, I'm joined by Nate, and we are going to present our normal stories, top/topics type of episode. And we've got a couple interesting stories to share between the two of us. So, Nate is going to be talking about Tom Brady's future decision. Is he going to stay or leave New England? And is the Patriots dynasty over or not? He's going to do his best to give an unbiased take on that, obviously being a Patriots fan. but and then I am also going to be talking about some NBA stuff. So it's been a little while since we've talked about the NBA on this podcast, but I'm going to talk about the whole Kevin Love situation going on in Cleveland, plus the news going on with their head coach today, as well as LeBron James and an interesting thing that I've observed. But before we're going to start that, we have the giveaway wheel to do. So in the last episode, Eric graciously gave away a $25 GameStop gift card to one lucky fan of ours on Twitter. And we only got two people to apply for that giveaway. So it's 50-50 odds. But the two of them, we're going to go over to that wheel and decide the winner. So as you see here, we have Nate Dog in gray, and then Icy Shark down in yellow. I'll spin this wheel, and whoever it lands on is going to get that $25 GameStop gift card. So let's spin the wheel. And the winner is Icy Shark. So
Wow.
here, Icy Shark won the giveaway. Contact with him. I'm assuming him and Eric about how to ship this gift card to him. But congratulations to Icy Shark on winning this gift card. I did see earlier on Twitter that you were apparently scammed $300 worth in points or something. So
Oof.
hopefully this, yeah, I know that's. And he is a Jags fan, obviously. You know, Chark is referring to DJ Chark. You know, I'm happy, man. Happy for you to win this, and we'll get in contact with you so you can get your prize. So thanks for being a fan of the podcast. We really appreciate it. And let's get started with our episode, guys. So since obviously this Tom Brady Patriots dynasty thing is like the number one story in all of sports, we are going to start with it first on our topic. So Nate is going to introduce us to that situation and then give his opinions on it. So Nate, I'll let you take it away, man.
All right. So, like Zach said, this is pretty much the biggest story in sports right now. Pretty much every time I've turned on, the TV or gone on Twitter the last week since Saturday night's game, it's basically been all about, what's next for Tom Brady, what's next for the Patriots, all that. A lot of people have a lot of different takes. Some of them are crazy. Some of them are, more realistic. But I'm kind of going to get into all that and what this season and what Saturday night's loss means for what I think it means for Tom Brady's future and what I think it means for the future of the Pats for next season and in the future. So starting off, I'm just going to start with what's next for Tom Brady. That's probably the biggest piece of this whole issue. Obviously, he's been him and Bill Belichick have been the cornerstones for their franchise for their entire 20-year run of all the NFL championships and wins and all that. Him and Belichick have been the two main reasons for it. So obviously, if he leaves the Pats, it would be a huge blow. Even though he is 42, he's gonna be 43 next season. Obviously, no one's ever played at a high level at that age before. If anyone can do it, I think he can. But I think there's been a lot of questions this week as to, is he going to retire or is he going to leave the Patriots? There was a report that came out, a quote from him that said he wasn't going to give New England a hometown discount, as he kind of has taken team-friendlier deals in the past. He doesn't make the crazy money that the Jared Goffs and the Aaron Rodgers of the NFL make. He still makes definitely good, fair money for a quarterback for his skill, but he takes a little bit less so that they can afford to pay other guys. He said he's not going to do that this year, which we'll see what happens. But it sounds like he's going to at least test free agency. Um, he posted Instagram, made an Instagram post, I believe it was 2 days ago, that said, basically came out and said that he has more to prove. He thanked all the New England fans for their support, thanked his teammates, but he said he definitely has more to prove. So it sounds like retirement is out of the picture for him. I think he's definitely going to try and come back and play next season. Sounds like, he's going to play until he physically can't anymore, which I think a lot of people will probably laugh at this. They've kind of been laughing at it for a little while, but I do agree with him. He can play till 45 if he wants to. I think I posted a tweet about this a few days ago. You can find it on my Twitter, but it was basically just retweeted a video of a cut up of some of his best throws from the season, which obviously if you just look at the highlights, that kind of doesn't tell the whole story. He had 17 touchdowns to 7 or 8 picks this year, which isn't great numbers, especially not by his standards. Threw for 4,000 yards, which is solid, but overall, if you watch the games, there was a lot of missed throws and all that. So it definitely wasn't his best season, but when you look at the highlights, the top end throws he was able to make, you can see that the velocity, the touch, all that is still there with his arm. He still can throw the ball downfield. He can make any throw that he's been able to make for the course of his career. And he's really he never has been a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes that relies on, otherworldly like arm talent and ability to move in the pocket and all that. So the physical skills for me, that I think they were never that great to begin with. He always got, was so great because he knows the game so well and he can read defenses and all that, which I think it seems like that's still there. It's just there's been some well documented issues with the receiving corps this season. It looked great coming into the year. Week 2, they went down to Miami with Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, fully healthy Julian Edelman. They had Demaryius Thomas still at that point. Philip Dorsett looked like he was being productive as number 4 or 5 receiver. So they were loaded at that point, and then fast forward to wild card weekend versus Tennessee Titans, and they're trotting out, N'Keal Harry, who missed. He was a first-round pick. I think he's definitely got a lot of talent, but he missed, over half the season with injuries. They trotted out Jacoby Myers, undrafted free agent. Julian Edelman playing through a multitude of injuries. They really have had no tight end contribution throughout the whole year, which isn't to make excuses for Tom and the Patriots. It's definitely stuff they got to address this coming off season. But I think what I see most when I've watched them this year and I've seen Brady struggle, some of that's, he definitely has made mistakes. Every quarterback does. He'll be the first to admit that. He has done so in the past in his interviews. But what I've seen a lot is guys, not running the right route. I've seen drop passes from a lot of these unproven guys. And it's hard because for me, as a Patriots fan, I've watched, 99% of their games since I started watching football. And why Brady's always been so great is that he's had that just insane timing connection with his receivers that he knows like where they're going to be at, any point in the route, any play. So it's less about him making, like, he doesn't make those crazy plays like on the run like other quarterbacks because he makes all his plays like he knows exactly where the ball is going to be. If this guy's covered, he's going to throw it to, someone else. He knows exactly where he's going to be. And this year, he just didn't have that. He never looked comfortable in the pocket. The pass protection really wasn't that bad. It wasn't like he was being sacked because any of the O-line were too bad. They were pretty decent. It was just that guys like Jacoby Myers, N'Keal Harry didn't have enough of an understanding of the playbook and what Tom, wanted and expected out of them. So he just didn't have that connection with those guys. They tried to bring Mohamed Sanu for some help there, but still coming in midway through a season, it's going to be hard to pick up the playbook and get on the same page as a guy like Tom Brady, who's such a perfectionist, like detail-oriented guy. So I definitely think Tom still has enough in the tank to play 1 to 2 more years, at least physically, barring an unexpected injury like an ACL tear or something like that. Excluding the possibility of injury, I think he's still got it physically. I think the Pats need to address the tight end position, bring in a real game changer there. Maybe bring in one or two players at the receiver position. I think the talent's there. They just need to. The main focus needs to be all throughout this offseason, even outside of organized team events. Tom's got to get these guys together and just throw on their own if they want to be successful next year. They just need that connection back because I think N'Keal Harry's a big guy. He's a big red zone threat. He's definitely flashed a lot of talent. Same thing with Jacoby Myers, Mohamed Sanu if he comes back. He's been very productive over his career, and obviously when Edelman's healthy, you see what he can do. So I think there's been a lot of overreactions to. I think there are overreactions to what happened to the Pats this season. I think if you watched any of their games this year, like the writing was kind of on the wall. I was very worried about going against the Titans. A lot of people called it an upset, but the way their offense played all year, it really was not very expected to me. Oh, and there's our poll.
Yeah, I brought up the poll here that I put up. So only 12 votes, but it is a pretty big majority saying that he's going to be back with New England. And that's obviously the money question that we're going to talk about too.
Right.
Get your take. It sounds like you think he's going to be back with New England now from what you've been saying, but
yeah, I definitely believe so. And I'll let you give your take on it too. But I definitely believe so just because to me, like he said he's going to test free agency, which to me, I don't understand that because sure, most teams would love to have a guy like Tom Brady, but for him, it doesn't make sense really. When you look at the teams that need a quarterback, why would you want to go play for a team like Tampa Bay or who else is looking right now?
Carolina,
maybe. Yeah, Carolina or he's gonna get. Those teams have bad line play. They have they don't exactly lack for weapons, but
I've heard Indianapolis is another.
Yeah, Indianapolis. Yeah. Like they're not awful teams, but it's just why would you want to? I just don't see the logic behind leaving a team that you've been with for 20 years. You've had all that anybody can tell. He's had a great working relationship with Belichick and all those, Robert Kraft, everybody with that organization. Like you're comfortable, you know the playbook inside and out. You'd have to go to a new organization that, they got a different playbook. They got different ways of doing things. The only I've heard the San Francisco rumor, which makes somewhat sense. He's from California. Like obviously they got a great setup there. I think they would definitely been a playoff team if Phillip Rivers came through a little bit more for them. So I definitely see the logic behind that, but still, I don't know. At this point in his career, it would kind of be a shock to me to see him leave. The only thing that I heard that really kind of piqued my interest in this whole thing is if Josh McDaniels takes a coaching job somewhere as a head coach, maybe in Cleveland. That's the only thing that I think could get Tom interested enough. If he really is thinking about, because a lot of people say like, oh, he wants to go show that he can win somewhere else. I've heard the same thing about, Bill Belichick possibly leaving. Like, oh, he wants to show that he can do it without Tom Brady. Maybe Tom wants to show that he can win a Super Bowl, like, with some other random team. So the whole, like, if Josh McDaniels takes a job, then maybe I could see him, like, considering it if he really wants to be a free agent. But I just don't get it. I think it's someone who's watched the Pats this much, like, I think it'd be very strange to play 20 years somewhere and not, come back there. And on the Pats end, I think it'd be foolish to not want him back. Give him 1 to 2 years. Like he's earned his money. He's been your quarterback for 20 years. I know that's not what Belichick is about, but
yeah,
like I think at a certain point, like it's come down to logic to like who you gonna get. Doesn't matter if you save money, who you're gonna get that's gonna play the quarterback position as effectively for your team next season. Because Jarrett Stidham's not gonna do it. We've seen what he's done in limited action. He's not ready for it, at least not to take him to the playoffs. And they're not gonna draft somebody who's gonna step in, with the 23rd pick. So that's kind of my 2 cents. I think he's not retiring, and he's gonna come back to the Pats for 1 to 2 more years. So I'm curious to see what your take on the whole situation is.
I've got quite a different take here. Obviously, you've watched way more Tom Brady and Patriots football than I have, but to me, I always thought him and Belichick were a pretty good duo up until the reports about the whole Garoppolo thing came out, where it was reported that he wanted to move on from Tom Brady, and that Kraft intervened and made Belichick trade Garoppolo away. He wanted to roll with Garoppolo. So I think after that came out, I mean, obviously Brady's, a team guy and everything. He's not gonna like sacrifice, or he's not gonna play bad just so it looks bad for Belichick or anything. But like, I think that relationship got so damaged after that, and I don't think they really had a great relationship to begin with, because Belichick is like he's not a warm figure by any means. He's all about what are you doing right now. He doesn't get sentimental with players. His famous line, trade a player a year before, not a year late. So I think Belichick really doesn't want Brady back. And also, okay, so I'll talk about Brady's perspective first. If I were Brady, I think I would retire right now, just because I don't know over the last couple seasons. I don't think he's the same Tom Brady. I know the weapons have gotten worse, but they always said that he was doing more with less, back in the day. And yeah, it might have gotten a little bit worse now. No Gronk, obviously, but to go from that, to barely putting up a couple touchdowns, like scoring 13 points in the last 2 playoff games that they've had, I just don't think that he's the Tom Brady that we once knew. I really am going to compare it to Peyton Manning at the end of his prime. Obviously, he went out winning the Super Bowl, but he wasn't the reason they won the Super Bowl. He was kind of there along for the ride. And I think at this point with Tom and his, he's got all the money and everything, but I just think it'd be, for him, legacy-wise, I think it'd be smarter for him to retire than risk coming back and then having another season like last season, the way it ended. But now we'll get on. But I don't think he's retiring because of the Instagram post, because of everything he said. And it got 0% on the poll. Like, I doubt that he's actually going to retire. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be coming back. But the bigger question is, where does he go? Does he stay with the Patriots or leave elsewhere? And I've thought about this pretty hard, but I do think he wants to leave. I think if he wanted to be back, he would have made it known already. I mean, he's got the kind of power where, if he truly was set on coming back to the Patriots, he wouldn't allow these rumors to circulate. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that wants the attention like that. He doesn't seem like he wants to build this up for drama and then have a press conference where he's got like 3 hats on the table, like how the high school recruits do. I don't see him doing something like that. So I don't know what his motivation would be. Is he potentially trying to organize a coup to take out Bill Belichick? I don't know. I don't know. Like, these are some pretty dark theories going on, but I do think him and Belichick have grown so far apart that they don't want to exist anymore. I know Kraft is going to be the mediator. He is probably the biggest influencer for Brady, because obviously Brady looks up to him as like a father and everything. So Kraft is the wild card. I think Kraft really, he's gonna have to really sell it to Tom for him to come back. But I don't know why Tom wouldn't already say he's coming back if he truly does plan on coming back. As far as the team he does end up going to, I have no idea. I think the best situation for him would be Indy because of that offensive line. I mean, at his age, like he needs a really good offensive line. That's probably the best in football.
Right.
And they don't have an enormous. They're not like Kansas City with weapons or anything as receivers, but they do have better weapons than what New England's got right now. The defense isn't as good. That's the best thing about the Patriots right now is their defense. They're probably going to bring back in its entirety, and that was the top defense last year. So he's got that going for him in New England. But it is weird for someone playing at an organization for 20 years and then all of a sudden leaving to another one. Like it just feels weird to me. But I don't know, man. I really do think that this is going to be it for him because I think he wants to prove that he can win outside of Belichick, and I think Belichick wants to prove he can win outside of Brady. So it's like both forces are, opposing each other here. I think they're eventually going to split. And then as far as what the Pats could do if Brady leaves, I saw this is pretty funny, but if it ends up being true, I don't think Nate's going to like it. But I saw that Belichick is interested in Andy Dalton potentially if Brady were to leave. I don't know if this is your first time hearing that, Nate. I'm sorry, but
I quickly scrolled past the Photoshop.
Well, Peter King. It was from
Andy
Peter
Dalton
King.
in
So
a
it's like,
Pats jersey. I was very confused. But
well, Peter King, he's a reliable source, so that caught my attention a little bit. So I don't know what's gonna happen. Hopefully, I kind of want to know what's gonna this feels like a LeBron James situation, honestly, like with the hype around it all, the decision, from 2010. But
right.
I just don't know. I don't know if and then obviously the Panthers, I mean the amount of money that they just spent on their new head coach. I'm sure if Brady really wants the bag, Tepper's probably gonna be like, well, here, write your own check. Like, he could get whatever he wanted from the Panthers. But I don't know. I don't know where he's gonna end up. I just have a feeling it's not going to be with the Pats, and I know I'm in the minority with that because it's 25%. But I don't know. Like, don't you think he would have already said he was going to come back to New England? Like that Instagram message seemed to be kind of like a Ngakwe thing where he was like, "Thank you, Duval. You're always in my heart." Like, it sounds like he doesn't want to be here anymore. Like it sounds like he played his last game. That Instagram message. Maybe it's got a double meaning behind it, but to me, it didn't look good for him coming back. What do you think?
The way that I would definitely agree. The way he wrote it and like worded things was definitely pretty strange. Like the way he said, thank you, and talked about like, thank you for the love you showed me the past 2 decades. Like it definitely sounds like it's not a just this season, thank you. It's, more than that. But I don't know. At the same time, the one thing I've learned from watching the Pats and following them, pretty closely is they don't talk a lot about internal stuff going on. Like you don't usually, you really don't get a whole lot of like other teams like, like the Jags is kind of a good example. Like you've had guys like Jalen Ramsey and, situations like that with like big time players and coaches that stuff definitely kind of comes out more. And, it's more like confirmed or like they'll like subtweet each other on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. Whereas like the Pats, like there's a whole thing, gosh, I think it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago maybe, where like what's his face? Seth Wickersham from ESPN put out a whole report about how there was all this beef going on in the Patriots organization, that Tom Brady hated Bill Belichick because he wouldn't let him have his private TB12 trainer. I don't know if you remember all that, but this was like at least 2 years ago, and there's this whole thing that they all hated each other and all this stuff, and they didn't comment on it at all. But so like the speculation like ran wild. Like we basically had these same conversations we're having now about Tom or Bill leaving, 2 years ago, and they didn't say anything about it really. They they kind of went out of their business and kept winning football games. And here we are 2 years later, the whole gang is together, at least for the moment. So one thing I'll say is like, and it's kind of like, hypocritical because we're talking about it right here, like we're giving our opinions. But
Yeah.
one thing I will say is like, personally, I don't put a whole lot into all these sources that are coming out,
Okay.
until I hear it from Tom Brady or Bill Belichick or Robert Kraft themselves. I'm not gonna put 100% trust in it. There's
Yeah.
definitely some things you can kind of like infer like logically, like he is 43, like teams are gonna be hesitant to give him a deal, like stuff like that. But one thing I'd say, just be cautious about like what you like buy into with this, because I think like a lot of these stories have tried to come out in the past few years, and um, nothing, at least so far, has really substantiated any of it. So it's like
Yeah, it's gonna be
it's a
interesting to see what
yeah.
finally ends up happening. Like this is one of those things I just like I need to know this now. Like, it's
Yeah,
gonna
it's especially because it's tough that they lost the first week of playoffs. So it's like it's still a whole 2+ months until free agency starts. So it's like we're gonna be talking about this for a long time, I think.
yeah. No, I definitely think so. This is the first that we're gonna talk about it. And
Yeah,
obviously if he does end up I think if he ends up signing with the Patriots, it won't be as seen as that big of a deal. But if he and McDaniels go to the Browns and then he's starting over Baker, like that is like the story of the offseason right there. So
right.
that would be a pretty dramatic thing.
Yeah.
But I'll move on now to my topics about the NBA. So the first topic is about Kevin Love and that whole situation going on. And then also I'm going to talk because there was a story today also involving the Cavs, not necessarily Kevin Love, but just the Cavs in general. And this right here on the screen for people not watching on YouTube is an Instagram post by Kevin Love where he's got a picture of the Joker from the recent Joker movie, and he's kind of like forcing a smile on himself by putting his fingers in his mouth and making himself grin. And then he put his caption to that was mood, period. So this is definitely a weird thing. I mean, it's a weird look to have, and it's a little bit it's a little bit frightening considering that coming from Kevin Love because last season, either last season or 2 seasons ago, him and DeMar DeRozan or something opened up about like depression or something like that and being depressed about something. So I don't know if this has anything to do with that or if it's about basketball reasons, but with everything going on with Kevin Love, I think it's more about basketball than depression. So I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take like the depression theory on this post, but I'm going to take more the basketball theory because also there was a video of him, whipping a ball to a teammate in a game. And when I was looking up that video to show Nate, I saw another video that I hadn't seen before where he just kind of walks around the baseline, then goes to the bench and he slams his hand on the chair. Like, I I don't know what's going on with Kevin Love. Like, he's obviously he wants a trade, but if I were him, like, just say you want to trade and then just sit out games or something like that. Like, he's taken a pretty weird approach to this. Um, and it's weird too because he did sign a contract not too recently, or it wasn't that long ago. Like, let me look this up. Kevin Love contract. Um, so he signed a 4-year extension set to expire at the end of this season with a player option for next season. So he's on a long-term deal. And then, whoops, sorry. Uh, to me, the Cavs need to trade him. And then when you look at potential landing spots for him, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you were to put this up on NBA Twitter, every stand of every player imaginable is going to be like, "Oh, I want Kevin Love on my team." Like, they're saying he's
Yeah.
going to come to our team. He's going to come to our team. But the team that I think has been talked about for a long time, him going to, is actually the Trailblazers. And the reason I think this might actually end up happening is because the Blazers aren't doing great this season, and they are definitely in win now mode. So I think the Blazers are a potential spot for him, and they would have to trade some young pieces and some draft picks. But they signed Melo too, so they're getting to be quite an older team. But and then that's another thing too, is the whole Melo thing, where there had been for like 2 off seasons before that, before he went to the Thunder, Lillard and the Blazers and stuff were always trying to recruit Melo. Like they've always been trying to recruit him with the Thunder, with the Rockets. I think he ended up being traded to the Bulls and then released or something like that. So he like bounced around from a couple teams he never even played for, but it's always seemed like the Blazers were trying to get him to come to them. Then finally they ended up signing him and from the streets. But Kevin Love, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I don't think he's a great player anymore. I think he's, aged quite a bit. He's on the back stretch of his career, but whatever team he goes to, I think is going to be interesting because we haven't seen too many, if any, big NBA trades so far this season. The NFL had a lot more excitement with trades than the NBA, which is weird because usually you see that in the NBA. I saw potential news about Karl Anthony Towns going to the Knicks. I saw that story a couple weeks ago. I saw, and I don't know if this is just the Knicks media making up, BS, but I saw that they were interested in Westbrook in a trade. So I think Kevin Love is going to officially mark the start of trade season for the NBA. It'll be interesting to see who else gets traded after that. But the other Cavs story, and I didn't talk to you about this, Nate, but I don't know if you heard about it. Did you hear about the coach of the Cavaliers calling players thugs today? Did you hear that
I
story?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what do you? And he said that he meant to call them slugs. Apparently, I guess was his.
Yeah.
He meant to say that, but he said it the wrong way or something, and it sounded like thugs. What do you
Yeah,
think of that situation, man? I want to believe him because it doesn't seem like he would say that. Like, I don't know why he would, but like,
yeah.
it's also two very different words. I know they rhyme and everything, but like, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and I don't think it was a mean spirited or racist type of remark. But I mean, if it was, that's obviously a big deal. But what do you think was the intention behind that?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to listen to the audio.
Yeah, I mean,
I was in like class today, so I couldn't really. I saw the article about it. I couldn't have my volume on too loud, but I don't know. He seemed sincere that he really had a slip of the tongue. Apparently, I saw an article that he had like an emotional like team meeting today, and I guess apologized to everybody.
yeah,
So it sounds like he really didn't mean it. I mean, plain you try to say plain like slugs, like that makes sense. Like trying to say
true,
like
yeah,
guys aren't, could be trying harder, like hustling more, whatever. And obviously like thugs, there's definitely um a pretty clear like racial like connotation of that. It's came out with like some other um like commentators and people in the
yeah,
past like said thugs and people got all upset about. So you'd think he'd be pretty conscious of trying to avoid that for sure. So I think it was definitely a mistake. Definitely not a great situation to be in, but I don't think he meant anything by it.
yeah. I don't know either. And this is really early. This is day one of the story breaking out, so there could be more information by the time you hear this. But just from what we know, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't think he's had problems, with players before. But it kind of brings me back to the whole, I want like John Beeline, right? That's his name.
Yeah,
He used to coach
or
at Michigan, or what
alien,
was
yeah.
yeah, something with a B.
So, I don't remember how to
But
pronounce it, but
yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it either. But he he didn't seem like an NBA type of head coach. Like he seemed it seemed like a weird job for him to go to the NBA because he seems very like fundamental oriented, which is really like a college thing because college kids are gonna buy into what you're saying. Like
right.
if you're I think they're easier to coach because they're trying to get to the NBA. They have motivation to do that. But when you're already in the NBA, it's harder to teach fundamentals because like they're already there. Like they already know how good they are. It's harder to coach that. So to me, I don't know. Like I don't think it was a good decision for him to go to the Cavs. And this season's obviously wasn't expected to go well. But when you've got the Kevin Love situation going on, he's obviously unhappy with the organization for some reason. I think it's more than just winning and losing. I think there's something else going on with the Kevin Love situation, by the way he's been acting. But
Yeah.
interesting stories coming out of the Cavs recently. Hadn't heard too much about them until now, and they're not for good
Right.
reasons either.
No.
So sorry for all the Cavs fans listening to this right now, but move on to talk about a former Cav, LeBron James here. So I saw that in this game against the Knicks here, the score is posted on YouTube right now, and the Lakers blew out the Knicks a couple of games ago, and you see LeBron played 31 minutes and had 31 points. Obviously, he had a great game, and this was the game that he was quote unquote sick for, which I do believe he was probably sick, but he didn't say with what kind of sickness. He just said he was sick, and he played and he did really well. But to me, I think this is a bad thing because he's playing so many minutes in the fourth quarter in these blowout games. Like he didn't need to play. If you look at the score by score here thing here, like he didn't need to play as long as he did in the fourth quarter. But what do you think is going on with LeBron? Do you think he's stat padding? Personally, I do think he's stat padding because I think he's trying to chase Kareem's all-time points record. So when he saw the Knicks on the schedule, I think that in his mind he was thinking, let me put up let me play this game for its entirety basically because they're the Knicks, they're terrible. Like I can get a lot of points on them. So I put up a poll, and this is pretty controversial. Most polls I put up don't have this amount of attention to him, but 27 votes, and it was very split. So 37% said that he didn't stat pad. 33% said yes, he does, and that it will cost them in the playoffs because of all these minutes wearing up on his body. And then 29.6% said yes, he is stat padding now, but it's not going to affect him. So most people here on this poll said that he is stat padding, but the only people that commented were the LeBron stands that said he wasn't stat padding. So this guy right here, Devontae underscore Prime, and then someone else I had a conversation with. Let me pull up some tweets. Oh, right here. Can't wait to see if I won tomorrow. You already won,
Yeah.
man. Like we know that you just won, C Chark, but you'll find out 1 o'clock tomorrow. So I can't wait to see your reaction to winning this. But let me go through down. Oh, this guy right here, Jordan Copeland. Let me find his tweets. Man, this guy tweets a lot. Scrolling all the way down. This was early this morning. Oh, here's the Payon thing. Okay, so this is the first one. This is what he said to me. If he didn't stat pad, how Heat and Cavs would made the finals last decades. And I was like, this is not a question about the Heat Cavs, LeBron. This is right now, LeBron. So I don't think he understood that. I don't think he understood it at all. Then he was like, what kind of person's gonna take LeBron? And I'm like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about playing in games where the outcome is decided. We know that the Lakers are going to beat the Knicks. The Lakers haven't lost to any team under 500 this year. They usually blow them out. So I just don't think he needs to be playing all these minutes. Whereas on the flip side, you've got like Kawhi and Paul George, the load managing Clippers. Like they're doing the opposite approach. They're going to be fresh in the playoffs. I do think it's going to matter. I originally had the Lakers in my preseason projection to win the finals, But now I'm leaning toward the Clippers right now based on all the energy LeBron's putting in. What do you think with LeBron playing all these fourth quarter minutes? Do you think it's going to backfire? Do you think he's playing just to stat pad, or do you think he's not thinking about that?
Um, I haven't sat down and actually watched enough of these games to like give a completely whatever solid answer, but I do agree with you that there's no reason for him to be playing in the third and fourth quarter against the Knicks when you're already blowing them out. Um, I know we kind of talked about load management a while ago, and I'm totally on the side of um, against load management days, the way they kind
Okay.
of do them now for Kawhi and stuff. But I do think there's a certain point when you have a guy like LeBron he's 33 this season, I believe. Which is pretty
35, I think.
35. Yeah, so I mean that's
Yeah.
pretty old for by NBA standards. And if I'm the coach, like I'm sure if he is stat padding, then obviously he's talking to the coach and saying put me in, leave me in the game. So I know it's a tough position for the coach to be in, but if I'm the coach of the Lakers, I don't want LeBron in, the fourth quarter against the Knicks because first off, there's a chance he gets hurt. He can get hurt. We've seen it with all those guys like Gordon Hayward, Paul George, just doing totally like mundane things, and then you blow up your knee or break a leg and you're out for a year and a half. Like first, there's that risk, and second, you just don't want all those minutes when you brought LeBron to LA to win a championship. Like, you didn't bring him there to beat the Knicks by 40 points in January. Like I think
Yeah.
I don't like the concept of load management days, but at the same time you gotta really think about it. When you have a star player like that, especially one who is older. He doesn't bounce the same way that he did when he came in the league and he was 19. Like you've gotta be responsible with him, and maybe he only scores like 18, 20 points a game, but if you're still winning, you're still going to get the number 1 or 2 seed in the West and still got a good shot to win the title. I think that's what you got to be focused on for LeBron and the Cavs right now. So yeah, I can't say for certain if he's stat padding. It definitely seems like it, just as an outsider, but yeah, I think he's got to be smart about
Yeah,
um,
I
playing in
mean,
some of these games.
the season's not won, January 7th against the Knicks, like,
Yeah,
so we got a long ways to go. We'll see if this ends up backfiring with LeBron, but interesting stuff going on all around, and obviously we're gonna keep a major eye on that Tom Brady decision coming up in the future, but
right.
we'll wrap this episode up now, guys. Thanks for listening. Congratulations once again to Icy Chark for winning the Twitter birthday giveaway. All the words that come along with that. Thanks for entering, man. Thanks for watching our videos and subscribing. Hopefully you'll continue to listen to Clutch Crew Sports and all of our podcasters. And I do have an announcement to make. So next week we are going to come out with our episode again on Tuesday. We'll be talking about the playoffs. Actually, we might do story episode that one. We might do a mix. I'll have to see. But then we are going to be recording an episode next week with Stacy Collier from Collier and Claire Sports Show. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be their episode. Connor and I are going to join it, and we're going to talk about the AFC and NFC conference championships. So we're going to be guests on their show next week. Only one show coming out of Clutch Crew Sports, but thanks for listening, guys. Nate, I assume you're back in school, right? At UCF. Have you started
I
classes
am.
yet? Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
I didn't. My classes don't start until next Monday, so I'm still on winter break.
Okay.
But good
Nice.
luck. Good luck to you, man, on this semester
Appreciate
with
it.
your classes.
Same to you.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So thank you to everybody for listening and watching this, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah.
For Eric, peace.